Why do some people always make you feel guilty, even when you've done nothing wrong? Toxic individuals rarely attack directly. Instead, they operate in the shadows, planting seeds of self-doubt in your mind. They're masters of manipulation, distorting facts and draining your energy before you even realize what's happening. Like emotional vampires, they feed on your confidence and peace of mind, leaving you questioning your own reality. These toxic personalities can be hiding in plain sight. Your closest friend who always has a backhanded compliment ready, the coworker who subtly undermines your achievements in meetings, or even the family member who dismisses your feelings while demanding attention for theirs. I witnessed this firsthand when my colleague Sarah constantly shifted blame to others whenever projects went wrong, making team members doubt their competence and creating a toxic work environment. The real problem emerges when you try to please these people. You find yourself trapped in an exhausting cycle of seeking approval that never truly comes. You might apologize for things that aren't your fault, work harder for recognition that's never given, or sacrifice your own boundaries to keep the peace. Like John, who spent years trying to earn his father's approval by changing career paths and life choices, only to face new criticisms with each achievement. But there's a simple way to expose the truth without getting caught in their web of manipulation. Once you understand the patterns, you can break free from their emotional control. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus wisely taught, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. This profound insight reveals that rather than exhausting ourselves trying to change toxic people, an impossible task, we must learn to protect ourselves from their influence. Just as a skilled martial artist doesn't try to change their opponent's fighting style, but instead adapts their own response, we must develop emotional skills to deflect toxic behavior. The first step toward freedom is recognizing when you're dealing with a toxic person. By the end of this video, you'll not only identify these harmful patterns, but also discover the one question that can instantly expose toxic behavior and help you reclaim your peace of mind. The invisible methods of toxic manipulation. Toxic people aren't random in their behavior. They follow a predictable pattern that repeats across relationships. Understanding this pattern is your first defense against their manipulation. Let's break down the playbook they use to control others. The toxic relationship cycle. 1. Approach and false connection. Initially, toxic individuals present themselves as incredibly friendly and engaging. They may shower you with attention, compliments, and seem genuinely interested in your life. Take Michael, who started a new job and was immediately befriended by a coworker who invited him to lunch daily, offered to help with projects, and seemed unusually interested in his personal life. Michael felt flattered by the attention until he realized this friend was collecting information to later use against him. 2. Testing boundaries. Once a connection is established, toxic people begin testing your limits through small provocations disguised as jokes or subtle criticisms. "I'm just kidding" becomes their shield when you show discomfort. Lisa's roommate would jokingly comment on her eating habits at dinner, saying things like, "Wow, brave of you to go for seconds," with a laugh. When Lisa expressed hurt, the roommate would respond, "You're so sensitive. I was just teasing." 3. Blame reversal. The most insidious stage occurs when you finally react to their behavior. Instead of acknowledging their actions, toxic people transform themselves into victims and shift the blame onto you. Suddenly, you're the aggressor and they're the innocent party. David confronted his brother about constantly borrowing money without repaying, only to have his brother accuse him of being materialistic and uncaring about family. Primary manipulation tactics, victimization. When confronted, toxic individuals quickly position themselves as the injured party. They'll burst into tears, claim health issues, or bring up past traumas to divert attention from their behavior. Amanda's sister would immediately mention her anxiety disorder whenever Amanda tried to discuss her hurtful comments, effectively shutting down the conversation, guilt-tripping, using shame and obligation to make you comply with their demands. "After all I've done for you," or "if you really cared about me," are typical starting points. Robert's friend constantly reminded him of favors from years ago, whenever Robert couldn't drop everything to help him move furniture or lend money. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca wisely observed, "Those who feed on emotions will always return for more." If you don't learn to protect yourself from these tactics, toxic people will continue to drain your energy like a bottomless pit. They've perfected the art of emotional vampirism, taking what they need from you while giving little in return. Understanding these patterns is crucial, but knowing how to respond effectively is even more important. In the next section, we'll reveal the one question that can expose toxic behavior instantly. The question that reveals the truth. The most common mistake people make when dealing with toxic individuals is trying to convince them they're right. You might present evidence, explain your perspective logically, or attempt to make them see how their behavior affects you. This approach almost always fails because toxic people aren't interested in understanding. They're interested in maintaining control. I witnessed this firsthand when my friend Thomas spent months trying to prove to his manipulative girlfriend that her accusations of him cheating were unfounded. He showed her text messages, had friends vouch for his whereabouts, and even offered to share his location. Nothing worked because her goal wasn't truth. It was keeping him defensive and off balance. Instead of falling into this trap, there's a more effective way to expose toxic behavior. Turn the tables with one simple question. Can you explain why your needs always come before mine? This question is powerful because it directly addresses the core of toxic behavior, the one-sided nature of the relationship. It forces the person to justify their self-centeredness and brings the imbalance into clear focus. When Rebecca finally asked this question to her friend, who constantly demanded emotional support but disappeared whenever Rebecca needed help, the uncomfortable silence spoke volumes. An equally effective alternative is, "How do you feel about ignoring my boundaries to satisfy your desires?" This version highlights the boundary violations that toxic people routinely commit. When Jake asked his controlling boss this question after being called during vacation for the third time, the stunned reaction revealed the boss had never considered Jake's perspective, or simply didn't care about it. How do toxic people typically react when faced with these questions? There are three common scenarios. 1. Anger. They may attack you verbally, change the subject dramatically, or try to make you appear to be the problem. Mark's mother erupted in rage when he calmly asked why her needs always came first, accusing him of being ungrateful and bringing up mistakes he'd made years ago. 2. Denial. They pretend nothing happened and attempt to minimize your feelings. "You're overreacting. I didn't mean it that way," or "You're making a big deal out of nothing." When Sophia questioned her friend's constant criticism, the friend laughed it off, saying, "I'm just trying to help you improve. Don't be so sensitive." 3. Victimization. They claim you're being insensitive or ungrateful. "After all I've done for you," or "I can't believe you would attack me like this when I'm going through so much." Daniel's colleague burst into tears when questioned about taking credit for his work, claiming he was bullying her during her difficult time. Regardless of which response you get, you now have clarity about who this person truly is. Their reaction to being questioned reveals their character more honestly than any words they might say. As the Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius wisely taught, do not waste time concerning yourself with other people's minds. Focus instead on straightening your own. This reminds us that while we can't control how others behave, we can control our response and protect our peace of mind. How to protect yourself and end the cycle. Knowing the truth about a toxic person doesn't mean you need to confront them or engage in arguments. In fact, true strength lies in walking away with peace of mind. When Emma discovered her friend of 10 years had been spreading rumors behind her back, she didn't create a dramatic confrontation. Instead, she quietly stepped back from the relationship, declining invitations and keeping conversations brief. Within months, the friendship naturally dissolved without the explosive finale the toxic friend likely craved. Here are 3 powerful strategies to cut off a toxic person's influence over you. 1. Create emotional distance. Reduce your exposure to the toxic individual and avoid deep discussions or personal revelations. This doesn't always require physical separation. Sometimes it means maintaining a pleasant but superficial relationship. James continued working alongside his manipulative coworker, but stopped sharing personal information or engaging in non-work conversations. By creating this emotional boundary, the coworker's manipulations lost their power. 2. Abandon hope for change. Stoicism teaches us that change must come from within the person, not from your efforts to fix them. Accepting this truth frees you from the exhausting cycle of trying to transform someone who has no desire to change. Maria spent years trying to change her critical mother's behavior through discussions, family therapy, and even ultimatums. Peace only came when she accepted her mother as she was and adjusted her own expectations and boundaries instead. 3. Leverage the power of silence. The less you react to manipulation, the quicker it loses its strength. Toxic people thrive on emotional responses. Your anger, hurt, or defensiveness fuels their behavior. When Alex stopped responding to his brother's provocations and simply observed them with calm detachment, the brothers' attempts to create conflict became increasingly desperate before eventually subsiding. Remember, toxic behavior is like a fire that dies without oxygen. People with toxic tendencies flourish in environments where they can maintain control and trigger emotional reactions. They feed on your responses, using them to validate their importance or power over you. But when you stop playing their game, they lose their hold on you. Like a predator that moves on when prey becomes too difficult to catch, toxic people often redirect their energy to easier targets when their manipulation no longer works on you. As Stoic wisdom teaches us, the best revenge against negative people is not becoming like them. By maintaining your integrity and peace of mind, you demonstrate a strength far greater than any momentary satisfaction from confrontation or retaliation. Have you ever dealt with a toxic person in your life? How did you respond to their behavior? Share your experience in the comments. Your story might help someone else who's currently struggling with a similar situation. If this content helped you gain perspective on dealing with toxic people, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more lessons in Stoic wisdom that can transform your daily life.